because of the crash rumor and everything that happened around me, I kind of got thrust into the spotlight, and I was like, well,
if you don't mind me asking, what was the crash rumor?
Oh yeah, you don't know this. Oh God, this is great. You remember the airliner that crashed with the Blackhawk in DC?
Yeah.
I was accused of causing it for the first 48 hours.
How?
I lived 100 miles away, and I just happened to be a Blackhawk pilot, and someone on the internet was like, oh, I bet this was intentional, and I bet it was this trans person who found out this week they're about to get kicked out of the military by the new president. And this was January of 2025. And I literally woke up to my friends texting me and calling me, asking if I was okay and if I knew what was being said about me online. And I Googled myself, and I saw that I had died, and I had killed 67 people in the process. And then it was also another example of a trans terrorist attack.
Tammy's Boy Podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. Jon Carden is not a licensed therapist. He is just a friend.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Tammy's Boy. By now, hopefully you know me. I'm Jon Carden. I had a crazy childhood and I like to talk to people about theirs. But before we get into the podcast, a few words from my brilliant, beautiful, and bodacious host and co-host and producer, Mr. Cole Garrett.
Tammy's kids, how the hell are you doing? Welcome to the family. I know there's a lot more of you out there than there was last time we talked. And I got to say, I'm happy to be talking into your ears. Guys, a full video is going to be available on YouTube and Spotify as always. And the audio is available on all your other podcast listening platforms. Also, if you guys have a Tammy of your own, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, any crazy individual that you grew up with really, or you just have a question that you want us to ask guests on the pod, email us. You can email us at Tammy'sboypodcast or gmail.com. And if that's too much for you, you can just leave in the comments section down below. Guys, I think that is enough out of me. John, let's get into this episode. Who the hell we got on the show today?
Former Blackhawk pilot. Touring now with Jason Ellis, which is awesome. Ooh. I love Jason. One of the scariest and biggest dicks I've ever seen. No, I'm not even elaborating. Like, okay. It's literally, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's massive.
Did he stick it in your mouth too?
No. No, I saw it for naked roast battles every year at Skankfest. I've seen it four times, like 4 years in a row. I've seen that man's penis. Okay, but anyway, you're touring with him.
Yeah.
It's Jo Ellis, everybody.
Hello. So good to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. Yeah, so you're with Jason right now. Has it been fun?
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been great. He's been very kind to me, like letting me hop on. Basically, I just DM'd him one day because I saw he was going to Tyler, Texas.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, do you have any openers or anything? He's like, you want a feature? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And that went well. And then I just kind of looked at his calendar. I said, can I do all these others too? And he's like, sure.
I mean, that's the way it works. You know, it's really the way it works.
I've emailed all these clubs hundreds of times, reels, everything I could do to like try to get like guest spots. Yeah, of course they get inundated, but it's like, then I just ask one person. It's just like the doors are open when you can jump in with the headliner, you know?
You got to look at it a little bit like contracting work. And it's, you know, you're talking about the company versus the independent contractor.
Right.
And you're always going to get more love from the independent contractor than you are the company. And
that's right.
That's just the kind of the way it works. You know, it sucks because, I mean, I've been doing comedy 13, 14 years. And I have emailed every club you can think of. I've sent reels. I've sent the EPKs. I've done the whole thing. But when I'm with Big J Okerson, I go do all those clubs and they love me and everything's fine, but then I'll email them again after and nothing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a matter of followers right now. That's what everybody's
the
leaning
social
towards.
credit score for comedians.
It pretty much is.
That's what I call it. When I had someone tell me that you need at least 10,000 followers before I'll consider booking you on like a little like podunk showcase, I'm like, oh, okay.
It really is.
That doesn't guarantee a ticket sale or engagement, but sure.
It is a credit score. It's insane. It's like the things you've done don't matter. It's what people have seen you do.
It's like I was on The Daily Show. I was on CNN. Like, I've got some national attention. Like, I don't need 10,000 followers too, do I? And apparently you do.
Yeah.
So you just go out and you buy some of those and then you're good to go.
That's kind of the way it is. I mean, it's the way it is. I've got a lot of friends, man, that have 80, 90,000 followers and they're getting 10, 15 likes on posts. And I'm like,
money talks.
Yeah, money talks, man. But they're also doing big shows. And it's, you know, it's interesting.
It's crazy. I got to do a guest spot for Sam Tripoli and he was kind enough to take me out to lunch the next day and just give me like straight up like advice
Mm.
and just really talked to me like about trying to figure it out in comedy. And he said, online is number one priority. He said, comedy is second.
Yeah.
He said, it's unfortunate, but he said, once you have the following, you can go anywhere you want and say anything you want. And this is coming from a guy who's basically like an outlaw comedian. Like he was getting pushed out of clubs. Then he built his following that's so big. Now he can just go and do what he wants because he brings his audience.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, it is your autonomy. And, you know, the dude's got like 10 podcasts, I think.
Yeah, and he doesn't even live like in a major city, does he? He lives like kind of out in the middle of
I think he wants to relocate, but
nowhere,
like
right?
he's not in, he's somewhere in
Colorado.
He is actually
Colorado's where he's from, I think. But
I think last time I heard it was in Cali. Sam,
Cali, I think.
yeah, Sam has got the most riz
He's great, by the way.
of any dude I've ever met. This was years ago, 2017, maybe 2016. We were at All Things Comedy Podcast Festival in Phoenix. And I remember me, Sam, and a dude named Kevin Elliott, who was really good friends with Sam Tripoli. We were all walking by the Tempe Improv. And these women walk by Sam and they go, "How you doing?" He goes, "Babies, I'm killing it."
He's awesome.
And I was just like, yeah, I love this dude.
He's awesome. He's so kind, and he's all about like paying it forward and passing it down to, I think, the newer generation. At least he was with me. Same thing with like Jason. I literally commented on one of his posts that when Sam was coming to Hyenas Fort Worth, I said, "I feel like you need a tranny to open for you." And he said, "You want to do a guest spot?" And I drove all the way up there. He's like, "You really drove all the way up here for a guest spot?" I said, "Dude, I would have come up here just to meet you." Like, you don't understand. Like, I was a fan of comedy way before I was a comedian.
Yeah.
So
that's the way a lot of us were, man. A lot of us were fans. I wasn't like, I can honestly say there was one guy that I've been starstruck around since I've been doing comedy.
Who?
And that was Ron White.
Really?
That was
yeah.
like, I was like the only one, really. I mean, I've worked with my heroes.
Did Tammy like Ron White? Did Tammy like any comedians?
Tammy liked Foxworthy.
Okay,
I used to have his cassette.
Yeah,
You Might Be a Redneck.
Yeah,
We played in the car.
I think we had all of them. He was a big one in our household.
Yeah,
Tammy was into Michael Bolton. That was her dude.
Okay.
All things.
My mom loved Michael Bolton.
My mom saw Michael Bolton live, I think 13 times, 14 times, and we lived in a trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're spending some money we don't have,
Right.
But yeah,
well, you know, Tammy's also plotting. She's like, okay, now how do I get past that security guard right there so I can go get to Mikey?
buddy, she had a plan.
I bet she did.
And then she had went like, funny story. My dad died. Okay. And
Sorry.
my dad died. And then Tammy had a Michael Bolton concert the next weekend. She didn't pay me no mind. She was gone to see Michael Bolton before you could turn your head.
Yeah.
And that was my mom, dude. Michael Bolton came first.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was bragging about it.
We all mourn in different ways, John.
She was bragging about it. And she was like, "Y'all, he knew my name." And I'm like, "Mom, your name's Tammy." You know what I mean? Michael Bolton could kind of just say Tammy, and it'd probably be 80% of his audience. Everybody there is a Tammy, a Karen, or a Paula. You know what I mean? Like, not a hard line to draw.
60% of Charlotte just flashed the stage.
But we always start this podcast off really simply, and it's just, who raised you?
Who raised me? My parents raised me.
Okay,
They are still together.
that's awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah, very loving family. No issues really. Didn't have mommy or daddy issues until about 3 years ago.
Oh,
I
wow.
transitioned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad, I grew up to seeing my dad go to work every day as a audio engineer
okay.
for the Christian Broadcasting Network in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is Pat Robertson's 700 Club show
Yeah.
that he worked on. So media and arts, but heavy evangelical religious.
Yeah.
And I was homeschooled as well. And
So
went
were
to
you
church
extremely religious growing up?
Very.
Okay.
Yeah. Church twice a week.
Wednesdays and Sundays?
Pentecostal Wednesdays and Sundays. Yeah. Pentecostal church at the time. And my parents raised me, mom and dad, and shout out to Steve and Sherry Ellis.
Wow. So you grew up in Virginia Beach?
Yep. Yeah. For a portion, and then kind of the Hampton Roads area. So I spent a lot of time in Suffolk. I was born in Norfolk.
Okay.
But yeah, like a lot of time in Virginia.
So my great grandmother lived in Portsmouth.
Oh, yeah.
My great aunt lived in Suffolk.
Yep.
My uncle lived in Newport News.
I've lived in all of those towns.
Yeah. I used to spend every summer there when I was really little. And I have vivid memories of Portsmouth and Norfolk and that area.
Yeah. What's your favorite part? Do you have like a favorite memory of that area?
Man, the crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones you eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the blue crabs, man.
The blue crab, yeah. Like you can go to this place on the boardwalk and you can get for happy hour, it's all you can eat crab legs, and then like $5 orange crushes.
Yeah,
I do miss that. I'm converting to Judaism, so the crab technically I shouldn't be doing either. But
what made you convert to Judaism?
A little bit about like growing up, like being religious, and I kind of moved away from that as I was transitioning because the evangelical and a lot of the Christian world isn't very accepting. A lot of the Jewish world is accepting, actually, of trans people, and I still wanted a religious practice in my life, and so always admired the Jewish faith and Jewish people. Like they were always very kind and giving. And so I went and took a class one night at a synagogue and just never looked back. I just loved it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So today is Shabbat. So I'm going to go to Jewish services after this and have a Shabbat dinner with some of my Jewish friends. And that's great.
That's awesome.
I just needed more material for stand-up, to be honest.
Yeah.
When I
Trans jokes and Jew jokes?
Yeah. Well, how can you say no?
I know, right?
When I was in basic, they had all the services that you could go to on Sunday, right? They had Buddhist, Hindu, Judaism, Christianity.
See, we didn't have Jewish services even. 'Cause I went to basic at Fort Sill.
Okay. I went to Fort Benning.
Okay.
And they had Jewish service.
And not many Jews in Oklahoma. Where I was.
There's not many in Georgia either.
Well,
but
true, yeah.
Yeah, there was enough joining to where they needed, plus it was an infantry station. So there's a lot of Jewish people joined the infantry. And I remember they had the breaking of the bread after everything, and they gave us donuts. That was it, powdered donuts and like chocolate donuts and the crumbles. And buddy, that's why we went. We went because we were deprived of sugar.
Yeah.
They always had donuts at services, and you could get a break from the drill sergeants. And
it got me a lot closer to the Torah. You want to get me in the Torah, dude? You line it with donuts, and I'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that vividly. I remember going to so many Jewish services and have no idea what they were saying because they were speaking Hebrew most of the time.
A lot of Hebrew, yeah.
A lot of Hebrew. But I'm just sitting there waiting for the donuts, and I got donuts. And I was there 18 weeks. I didn't miss one Jewish service.
Look at you.
In 18 weeks.
You could be your own little Jew boy.
I really could.
You could. We could have called it, that could have been the name of the podcast. It's the Tammy's Boy.
Yeah. Shout out to Jew Boy Burgers.
Exactly, yeah.
Which aren't even kosher. They're not even kosher.
Always confused me. I moved here and I was
they're not kosher beef. Like, come on.
I don't think I went to one service while I was in boot camp. I think I went to one just to try it out. And then after that, I was like, I'm just going to deal with it with the drill instructors. I wasn't born religious either. But then I realized that I was like, oh man, on Sundays, like the drill instructors are like taking their time off too. So there was like maybe like one other heathen that was like in the squad bay out of like 100 of us. And he was like I don't know, he was something I'd never heard of. But I think I heard from him. He's like, yeah, they don't fuck with me like at all. So I tried it out. They didn't fuck with you at all. Slept like all day.
See, they always made us like clean all day if we were still there.
Yeah, well,
that's what I think they wanted us out of there.
I think that there was like so little of us that it wasn't effective. It
wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, and then they were like,
that's cool.
Figure it out. So yeah, don't go to church, guys. Maybe get to sleep.
Yeah, my wife grew up very Catholic in Poland, and so, but it was interesting because when she came to the States, she decided to kind of just become like normal, like non-denominational, like Protestant.
Yeah, I've had some friends that were Orthodox, like in Chechnya, not Bosnia. Trying to think, Serbia. I had some friends from Serbia that were super Orthodox, and they came here, and there's not a huge Orthodox community. Yeah, so they just kind of either backslid, if you want to call it that, or converted to something different,
like Roman Catholic. Or something.
To maintain some spiritual identity. I was religious growing up too.
Were you?
Yeah, I had a stepdad that was extremely evangelical, and he used religion a lot to control. And
it's not like a good.
No, not like a good one, but I definitely learned the Bible, and it was a great book. That's the way I've looked at it. Since I read it, I've read a lot of books, and the Bible is an amazing book. I mean, well written, lasted the test of time, sold a shit ton of copies.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It's an amazing book.
Couldn't find it at Barnes & Noble for like 2,000 years.
No, buddy, they have a whole section at Barnes & Noble of Bibles. I promise you. Any bookstore has a whole section of Bibles. And And I struggled with my faith the more that I studied theology and the more that I got into Christianity and the more that I learned about, Sumerian gods and Mesopotamian gods, and the more I learned about, Ra and Way and, the Hindu gods and Buddha and then Muhammad and Allah. And, you're learning about all this and you see so many things repeat themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So many things.
Yeah.
And also so many things contradict as well.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But that's, part of life and, part of humanity is that we're going to constantly contradict ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's the mistake that some people have when they implement religion, especially teaching to young people like us growing up, is that it's okay to question and it's okay that it's going to contradict. Like it's got human flaws in its fingerprints and we should wrestle with it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's okay. And that's the one thing about the Jewish faith that I love, is because they literally have a whole book about them trying to figure out the other book. And that's the Talmud. It's the interpretation of God's law. And then that book has been interpreted like 3 major times or something, and it's in the page.
Okay.
And there's like literally like 3 interpretations in each page, because it's like we're still not quite sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, is like the constant debate and wrestling with what it is to be on this earth. You know?
I've talked about it before, and it's very difficult, for me, just personally being the person I am. Double standards are very hard for me. Unfairness is very difficult for me. I'm very big on fairness, not equality, but fairness. There's a big difference. And when I studied theology in college and I was going to these classes about religion, one of the things that we talked about were the King James edits and how King James changed a lot of things in the Bible to
left a few books out.
Yep. And also, he wanted to be able to get a divorce. It was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But more than that, King James did not think that anyone outside the crown should be extremely wealthy. It was a thought of his. And so when they wrote, when they rewrote or retranslated a lot of the parables from Christ, one of those parables was, it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. That's the parable that's in the King James Version. Well, the actual version of that in Hebrew is, it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is to get a camel through the eye of Nadal. Now, the eye of Nadal was a gate going into Jerusalem, and it was about 6 feet tall, and it was about 4 feet wide, and it was like a tunnel. And it wasn't impossible to get a camel through there. It wasn't impossible. You just had to give.
Right.
You had to be able to work with what you had, and you had to be able to, give more. And that was the message. The message was the fact that you have to give, not the fact that you have to die with nothing.
Right.
But dying with nothing, what does that do? That gives the church all the money, right? Because now you leave it to the church.
Right.
The church becomes more profitable off one change of one line in religious text. So I saw that, and the power of that was not lost on me. And that was the moment where I could notice that my faith started breaking, where I didn't pray as much, where I'm not, thanking God for great days or, asking for help when I need it and those kind of things. I became more independent, more like, okay, I'm on this path. It's me. And I've got to be responsible for me. And a higher power is great. I do believe that there could be a higher power. I am spiritual. And I like, I hate to say this because I hate the way people look at it, but I do like the way Wiccan people look at religion sometimes, where it's like the earth is God.
Sure.
And, we should do our best to protect our God and take care of our God. And so I kind of liked that. I always liked the people that were like very earthbound and like just protect what we have and, let that be your spiritual guide, through nature. Let nature be your spiritual guide. And
like Thomas Jefferson, like very much, I guess, I forget what you call it, but he's like, see God in the nature, see God in everything.
I think it's called agrarian. It might be.
Yeah. It's like, it's not monotheism. It's like multi-theism, whatever that word is. Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson, low key, is I think one of the most brilliant people ever to live.
But still flawed.
Absolutely.
Still clearly flawed.
Yeah. What he did with Abigail was wrong.
Yeah.
I think we can all acknowledge that.
Or his children.
Yeah.
Enslaved his own children.
Yeah. Enslaved his own children. And then didn't release them upon his death.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like God.
Yeah. Or his wife did not release his wife upon his death.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think that's what's missing in today's politics or discussions is the ability to hold two things at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
Something that is clearly good and also something is clearly flawed, because that is the human condition. Clearly can be clearly good and clearly flawed at the same time.
Yes. Nothing is perfect. I believe that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Thomas Jefferson, he would say in his journal that some of his greatest memories of being in the White House was sitting on the lawn smoking hemp.
Yeah.
And he'd tell you straight up, I smoke weed.
Hell yeah, dude.
He
He said
smoked-
it just like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I smoke weed, fool.
He smoked weed and he had a black wife.
Pretty progressive.
Pretty progressive, I don't know. He didn't free her. That sucked. But
Yeah.
I did read George Washington is the only one of the founding fathers that actually freed all his slaves upon his death.
That had slaves. Yeah, because like Adams didn't have slaves at all.
No, the Adams didn't have slaves at all. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Looking back on that. But yeah, Thomas Jefferson definitely had a great philosophy, I think, when it came to religion and understanding like nature. And I mean, I think Thoreau did too.
Sure.
You're
But-
right. It was George Washington was the only major founding father to free
To free his
his
slaves.
slaves after death.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. What was Thomas Jefferson's wife's name? Was it Sarah or I can't remember. I think I said Abigail a minute ago, and I think that's wrong.
Abigail was
Abigail Adams.
Adams?
wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Adams.
Martha.
Martha. Okay.
yeah.
Martha Wales Skelton Jefferson.
See, I've been to their house or their plantation or whatever you
Monticello?
call it. Monticello, yeah.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
beautiful.
it's in Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've been there too. You've been to Williamsburg and Jamestown?
Oh, yeah. Like, because I used to live down there. Like, I've got a relative buried in the Williamsburg church,
Oh,
apparently.
wow.
From like the 1600s. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you haven't been to Williamsburg or Jamestown,
It's beautiful.
it's amazing.
Historic triangle.
Yep.
That's what they call it. Because you got Yorktown as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all within 15 minutes of each other. So you
Yeah.
can literally see where the country kind of started with Williamsburg being one of the early cities, or actually Jamestown, the settlement. Williamsburg was kind of the first early city. Then the conclusion of the revolution was at Yorktown, where the British surrendered.
Hell yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well,
General Cornwallis had to surrender because the French blockaded the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Thank God for the French.
thank God
You
for
know
the
what?
French.
That's right.
People don't understand. And the French saved us on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, we got him back.
This is a history podcast.
Hey, we got him
now.
back. It can be.
I mean, I'll make it every podcast.
Yeah.
I don't care. We'll make this whatever we
we
want.
more-
It's rare that I sit on a comedy podcast and we talk about like Jefferson and Adams. I'm like, oh, because I'm a poli-sci major, so I'm like,
Okay.
oh,
Yeah,
fun.
I'm a history buff.
Yeah.
And I love
this,
American history.
yeah, if this like took off then and we branched out to other stuff, something in the history realm, I would be all over that. Yeah.
Me and you both.
Yeah.
Psychedelic history.
Yeah. History with zero facts. No internet.
Because they have drunk history. I'm like, what if you had psychedelic history?
Yeah,
like everyone's
100%.
on shrooms, so I'm trying to tell history stories.
That would be pretty good.
Buddy.
You might be on something.
Buddy, no.
Yeah, it's called mushrooms. It's called mushrooms. No.
Yeah. They say we have to do it. Maybe we have like contestants or something. I don't know. The guest does it and we just watch them. Freak them out a little bit.
No, I'm definitely a history buff, man. I like especially colonial history, and
It's interesting. Yeah.
I'm getting more
is.
interested in older history.
You like the part where all the white people show up and take stuff.
That's whenever it gets
Hold
interesting
on.
to me.
Hold on, not quite. No, I think the part I like is that everyone thinks we won the Revolutionary War.
First 1400, 19 years kind of boring.
This
but-
huge thought that like, we won the Revolutionary War, right?
I mean,
the
we
French
did.
blockaded.
They surrendered to us, not the French.
It was
These
it was more profitable at that point in history for the British to withdraw
yeah.
and then tax the shit out of us, which they did.
Well, because we wanted to have commerce with them after.
Absolutely.
We wanted to normalize relations.
But they definitely fucked with the taxes.
yeah.
And we paid for it.
Yeah.
And
We did, but we also kind of like stalled everything because immediately the French went into their own revolution and we were like, yeah, we're trying to be cool with the English now, so we're not going to help you guys after
Yeah.
you just saved our butts. And
Yeah.
then the French like lost their own revolution.
we like what you
What
do
was
there.
that?
Isn't that where Napoleon
Yeah, I was
came
gonna
to
ask.
rise?
yeah,
right?
was that
Yeah.
before or after Napoleon bought it? I think it was, Napoleon came after.
He came after.
He
Yeah.
came after because of what happened in the revolution is I think what they guillotined the
Yeah.
royalty, right?
Marie Antoinette.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
Is that
too
her?
much about the
I
French
think-
Revolution, but I think that's what happens.
I
and
know Marie
Napoleon
Antoinette
kind of,
was the beginning. right?
Napoleon kind of like seized power during that revolution time. So the revolution failed in the sense that they ended up with another basically monarch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the if I'm not mistaken, the grief about Marie Antoinette was the fact that she was too lavish, right? She
Yeah.
would take these huge flower baths and these huge
Right,
parties.
let them
and
eat cake is their famous quote, which I don't know how true that even is, but
me either.
it's
Yeah.
probably
The Reign of Terror.
reign of terror.
Yeah. which
And
was-
I guess the revolution didn't necessarily fail. They did overthrow their government, but if they were trying to mimic American Revolution, it failed in the sense that they didn't get a republic
yeah.
out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the last public executions noted throughout the world was in France. And it was somebody that tried to assassinate King Louis. And they literally cut him open and poured hot oil down his back.
God.
And they were selling popcorn to that. Like there was like,
I mean, I love popcorn, but
think of it kind of like Mardi Gras, where everyone's like on the balconies and people are literally fornicating.
Well, it's entertainment.
People are literally fornicating.
Well, give it to the
watching
French to like, okay, this dude's getting murdered. Let's fuck.
Yeah.
We,
Oh, what a time to think for
Yeah.
life. Ha, ha, ha.
well, because like in the 30s and 40s, the French were known for like three ways and
Yeah, menage a trois.
menage a trois. and all
Yeah,
that.
it's literally a French word
Yeah.
for threesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know if they invented it, but they definitely put a patent
Well,
on
they
it.
were
Yeah.
definitely known for it versus the puritanical like American East Coast.
France has always been more open sexually. And I wonder what regionally, like what about that area that made that happen? You know what I mean? Like what sexual awakening happened in France?
Well,
to
when
make
your
it
men are so weak, it's like, what's the difference? What's the difference between a guy and a girl?
Yeah,
right?
and then you throw in like the old French like makeup that they
yeah,
would
the
do, and
makeup
then
with
it's
the
like,
wigs. It's just a bunch of trannies running around.
Yeah, I mean-
yeah, what are we doing? Yeah,
There was the myth. It's a myth. I thought it was real for a lot of years, but that Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin dressed up as women in the French Parliament and dressed in drag in order to convey things comedically that needed to be done in the United States seriously.
That's hot. I love that.
I do know
Getting
with
shit
my
done.
little bit of knowledge that Benjamin Franklin was over there really hanging with those French.
Oh, yeah.
Franklin was
He was
having
like
fun.
The whole revolution, I think he was just over there like.
And Franklin,
Well, him and Jefferson, wasn't there a concern in some of the journals? I don't know whose, but like that either Jefferson or Franklin were basically like getting too French. They
Yeah.
were becoming too French.
yeah,
and there was
Jefferson for
concerns.
sure. Yeah,
Went down,
everybody was
yeah.
like Jefferson.
Whereas Adams
Yeah.
is was hated in France because Adams is very much more English, insulting and not refined like
Yeah.
the French. You know?
Yeah.
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 Benjamin Franklin famously left his wife. And do you know what he said when he left?
Tell me.
He said, "I have a responsibility to impregnate the world."
That's baller.
Yeah.
It's fucking baller, dude.
And then what? He got in a bathtub and
Yeah, he got in a
Yeah.
bathtub.
then flew his kite all at the same
Have you,
time.
have you been to Philly and walked past his bathtub?
No, I've
Yeah.
been to Philly plenty of times.
Yeah.
I love Philly.
They've got his bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah, right
I didn't
there.
know they had his bathtub. I know I went up there. There used to be this venue because I drive up there from Richmond to see metal bands.
Okay.
There's this venue there called the Electric Factory.
Mhm.
And it was like kind of themed after like Ben Franklin and stuff. Then of course I did like the Liberty Bell and some of the sites and Constitution Hall and all that, but
I think
or
they
Independence
still,
Hall. But I love going up there. I worked for a guy up there for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they still have an open mic on the Benjamin Franklin yacht.
Oh no way.
Yeah, like once a week or so. I think it was there a couple years ago. I don't know if it still is. But yeah, if you ever go up there, there's an open mic
That's so cool.
on the Ben Franklin yacht.
That's so cool. I like going there and I love going to Boston. I love going to like those old East Coast cities.
It's so cool walking on the old cobblestone that, you
Yeah.
know, Hamilton and,
Yeah.
you know, Adams and all these guys walked. And
yeah, Boston's got that, what they call it, the red line tour, where it's literally a brick red line throughout the whole city. If you just follow it, it's a self-guided tour of the city, which is, you just do it on your own.
that is cool.
It's really cool. It goes like from Bunker Hill all the way down into the city, and
That is cool.
it's so cool. Yeah.
So Dad was working audiovisual for a Christian or like for 700 Club.
CBN, yeah.
CBN. Okay. What was Mom doing?
She was a stay-at-home mom with
Okay.
4 children and homeschooling us.
Okay. So you've got 3 brothers and sisters.
Yep. I have an older brother, an older sister, and a younger sister.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard enough
The
for
one that needs the attention. So yeah.
What does your brother do? Your older brother?
Older brother, he was a Abrams tank driver in Iraq.
Okay.
Got out.
So he didn't work much.
Yeah. Well, he said he did more Cav Scout work. He got there with his tank, and they're like, "We need you to drive this Humvee," and he's like, "That's exactly what I didn't pick." Cav Scout, and they basically turned him into a Cav Scout.
I mean, that's what infantry was for a while. You were just Cav Scouts.
Because they had no work for the Abrams. They're like, okay, go level this building. Not, and that, his 04, I think, was when he was there. So right after the invasion.
And there's a lot of tanks still sitting in Iraq.
He went out to the old tank yards and would spray paint our family names on different ones and take pictures.
That's cool.
Brought back license plates when you could do that, all that stuff. Because when I went, they wouldn't let us take anything home. Like not a grain of sand could come back in our stuff. But because I went in 2011, so I was at the end. But yeah, so my mom was homeschooling us, and we were just living in Suffolk near the capital of Planters Peanuts, because they got the statue there in the downtown, and we would commute into Chesapeake, and my sisters would do dance, and so then I would do dance because I was there, and it was free for boys to do dance.
That's cool.
Yeah. I would skateboard out back too, so I try to keep a balance,
Did your parents have a decent leash on all you guys with homeschool and the church, or were they let you get out and kind of explore the have friends outside in the neighborhood?
Yeah, well, we had friends. Well, we lived on a farmhouse, so we didn't have when we were in a neighborhood early on. Yes, I had a lot of friends. Then we moved from Kempsville, which is Virginia Beach, to Suffolk to 9 acres, and so then I had a very different life. It was very isolated, but we had a homeschool co-op group where we could go once a week and have some school classes with other kids. And that's how I would meet people. And then it was a lot of, thank God for early internet. It was a lot of instant messenger with those people that were too far away.
Yeah. Right.
And so, that was the kind of socialization that we'd get, but we'd go in every day pretty much to the dance studio where my sisters and I would dance, and we would meet people through there. And, we didn't have a lot of restrictions on TV. We had direct TV or Dish Network. So they would let us watch a lot of secular stuff, which was nice. So I grew up just loving film and TV shows and stuff, because I would just have that, and video games.
Yeah.
Stuff I could do at home.
Nice.
So mom homeschooled all 4 of you guys?
All 4 of us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. K through 12. Yeah.
Do you know what the decision behind that was?
The schools in Suffolk were not great. Yeah. I think my elementary school or middle school would have been Forest Glen, which was notoriously not great. But then it was also, they wanted to impart their idea of what my education should be, more religious based, definitely no evolution talk. I remember I went to a class one time and they were teaching evolution. I was like, that's not in the Bible. I was that kid that just didn't understand there was other ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And so I was awkward. It made for an awkward basic training. But everyone thought I was gay. I didn't know what signals I was putting out.
Listen, I've gotten it too. I've gotten it when people have thought I was gay before.
It's because I'm kind and I suck dick.
Well, I'm kind.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what did
I was
it.
not into men at all. It's so weird about that. Growing up, I was obsessed with girls.
Yeah.
And I think it was a mix of attraction and envy, because of the untreated gender dysphoria I had. And then when I started transitioning and the hormones kind of did their thing, all of a sudden some men started looking interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so then I had kind of a slow shift in orientation. So now I'm doesn't matter, guy, girl. I prefer women still, over men, but there's some men that hit the spot. Yeah.
I get it.
If you're really kind to me, I'm just okay. No.
I lived in Seattle for 4 years. So I spent, when I first got there,
hung out with the blue hairs.
Yeah. They issued me a pansexual hipster named Jupiter. You know what I mean? I got one when I moved there.
I got one.
I had to have something feed me pumpkin curry and try to fuck my nephew. So I hung out with him, and that was it was a little bit a culture shock for me.
I mean, that sounds too gay for me. Seriously,
it's really fucking.
I grew up conservative and homeschooled, so I'm this presentation, but I'm not one of those crazy lefties. I don't get it.
No, I understand. Yeah, you're more like Blair White.
I guess. I feel like she's way more right leaning.
Yeah, she's way more.
Yeah, I'm very.
That was a bad example, but
no, I get what you mean.
Yeah, she's not. When was stereotypical.
Yeah.
Trans person. And
Which
I
is
think-
annoying because it's like there's so many trans people that are like me and Blair
yeah,
in the sense of like
absolutely.
more moderate, conservative, just not a Trump fan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were so
Yeah.
many, there was just like in the 80s and 90s, there were so many gay men that just wanted quiet lives.
Right.
And, you know, and just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like I think some of the people that are way more progressive for pushing because it does help the middle, like me. But it's not what I would do. But it also like I respect their right.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I feel about it.
No, it's
Just shave your beard if you're gonna call yourself a woman. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like help a girl out a little bit.
It's hard to be a woman
Like,
with a 5 o'clock shadow.
At least try. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was that experience like when you're telling your parents? You know?
it's tough.
I can only imagine.
Tough. Because I started like medically transitioning in 2023.
Okay.
So I was a 33-year-old
Was that when?
married with a teenage daughter, and
Wow.
Wow.
yeah.
And is that when you told them, or where's
That's
the
when I
time?
told my
That's when you
parents,
told
yeah.
them. Okay.
Yeah, nobody thought anything like this was coming. Like
Yeah.
the only
was-
person that said something that was funny about it was my daughter, and she was like 16 at the time. She goes, "Yeah, I always thought you were gay or something."
Hey, kids know. You know?
Ask your kids; they'll tell you who you are.
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
But
My
it's
kids
just
already
like,
have too many opinions about who I am.
my wife never saw this coming. Like everyone thought I was the epitome of like a good man, like church, Blackhawk pilot, you know, graduated college, like taking like house, dog, picket fence, stable job outside the guard, like you know, 6-figure tech job, and just completely different. They were like, okay, well, we don't think you'd throw all that away for you know, on a whim. So a lot of, not my parents, but a lot of other people, I think, kind of rallied around me because they're like, yeah, you wouldn't do this like because their life will be better.
Yeah.
Like,
You're doing it because it feels right.
because I need to do it. Like
Yeah.
I if I could choose, I wouldn't have transitioned. If I could just actually like wave a magic wand and like be okay the other way, because it's not a life I would want.
Yeah.
Like I really liked living a quiet life as a humble Blackhawk pilot that just wasn't known to the world, and that was my thing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
It's not a
Yeah.
perspective that I've heard before.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not a perspective that I've heard.
Well, it's a mental illness. I think it is, and that's why I got medically treated for it, and now I'm asymptomatic, just like PTSD. It's a mental health condition that some people, it's severe enough to where you have to treat it with transition, hormones, whatever it is that you need.
Yeah.
The minute you stop calling it a mental illness and you say, well, then what is it? A lifestyle? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
How are you going to get insurance to cover it if it's not medically necessary?
It's insurance is a
Right?
great, yeah.
Because
that's-
otherwise it's elective if you have no underlying condition that needs to be treated. So
Right.
whether you want to call it a mental health condition or either way, an illness is something that like keeps you from operating at like, you know, successfully in the world, I think, right? Like,
Yeah.
I forget what the actual definition is, but it's
It's like operating at 100%, whatever.
Yeah,
that,
whatever you want to call
mentally,
that.
physically,
And it's not
Yeah.
to say that you can't like resolve the illness. And in my mind, I believe I've resolved it. Like I'm asymptomatic. I'm not bothered by it anymore because I've done the things I needed to do to fix it. I wish I could have fixed it any other way. I wish I could have I tried every other way, but to transition, like if I was just more manly, if I was just more this, just more Christian, if I just got fitter, like I was like a level 2 CrossFit coach, like drinking that Kool-Aid, like anything I could do, chasing every achievement, like pilot, like sailboat certification, like it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So
I know a lot of people that have had questions about their sexuality and have had questions about who they are, what they are, you know? And I've always been a fan of answering those questions. Where it's like, if you've got any questions about yourself, answer them.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why we live life, is to find out as much about ourselves as we possibly can and about the world and like grow. And I find it admirable, you know, that you made that decision and that, you know, you've acknowledged what you need, because it's not something that's taught to men very often.
Yeah.
You know, acknowledging what you need, and you know, growing up a man, I know that you know that, and it's like, I think it's funny because men are told for so long that we have to be strong, we have to be brave, we have to be all these things. We're never told we have to be compassionate.
Right.
We're never told that we have to be considerate. We're never told that we have to be kind. Those aren't things that are directly taught to men. And so those are things that we miss out on.
Or even if they are, there's always that like back of the head thing. It's like, we need to be that, but also
man,
you
be
need
kind,
to be,
but don't show weakness.
Yeah, you need to be able to take down the threat, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Which is also good.
It is good.
Like, you know, you want your men to be providers and protectors and things like that, especially if you're going to have a traditional like household where you have a wife that has your children and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not anti like traditional family values or anything. Like just like the people I disagree with politically that are pro-trans, like you do you. Like I love that those exist and that is something that works for you if that's your life. But I think men being more compassionate is definitely, and I think they are. It's just we have to get out of our way of how we teach our young men and how we show our young men. Like I only had a daughter, so I don't have the experience of raising a boy, but I think it's definitely doable for sure.
I have a boy, and he's growing up in Waco. So there's already things that are like naturally, you know, coming up just because of environmental, you know. I'm not saying my son is racist. I'm not saying that my son is, you know, homophobic. I don't think he's 11 years old, you know. But if I don't have conversations with him, constant conversations about humanity, about people, about philosophy, if I'm not talking to him about those things, then he is going to end up that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or he gets sucked down like the Andrew Tate, which is like the perversion of those things.
Absolutely.
Like the perversion of stoicism, the perversion of like being a man in this world, and it's twisting it.
Yeah.
Somebody said it to me the other day about my comedy versus other people's comedy, and it really resonated with me, and I've kind of even like embodied a little bit. But somebody was like, I was talking about Uncle Laser, and I'll say it publicly. I love Tyler.
For this whole time I never knew that was his name.
Yeah, I love.
We hung out, and I've just been like, I just call him Uncle Laser like an idiot. I guess.
I think he's a sweetheart of a human.
Like Uncle Laser.
Yeah.
I think he's a sweetheart of a human. I don't think he's a bad guy in any shape or form. So I want to make sure I say that before I say what I'm about to say. But we look at comedy very differently. And somebody said the other day, well, it was like, oh, of course you don't like his comedy. He's Guy Fieri and you're Anthony Bourdain. And I was like, oh, wait, he kind of is. You know what I mean? Like it's the loud, obnoxious.
Oh, if you're comparing.
Where I'm like more the quiet, methodical.
I've never had his food. I don't know.
The quiet, suicidal one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm not fucking deny that.
Right when the pod's doing great, everybody.
I always thought Uncle Laser was like if you took, if you put Larry the Cable Guy on cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mean that negatively. I like that's in my mind the character Uncle Laser. That's what I see. I'm like, oh, this is like Larry the Cable Guy, but like crazy sexual extreme.
Yeah.
For me, it's like if you let a rooster drive a NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's Laser.
Yeah.
But I do.
Wild.
I love the guy.
No, he's wild. I love it.
I don't think he's a bad guy whatsoever. But yeah, we look at comedy very differently.
Of course.
And but when somebody said that, I started reading a little bit more Anthony Bourdain. And I started looking into Bourdain a little bit more. And what a guy.
Yeah.
What a brain.
Yeah.
Like, I think people romanticize him too much.
There's a movie coming out about him, like his early years or whatever.
Yeah. And
I think Stavros is like in it. I saw him like playing a cook or something in the movie.
Some greasy
in a trailer. Yeah, I think it's Stavros.
Some greasy European line cook somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like a seaside town or something that he's getting a start in or something. And
probably in Greece.
It's
or
called
something.
Tony is the name of the movie, but it's
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain is like origin.
Yay, another biopic. That's just what I asked for.
I know.
I mean,
It's either Stavros or some other comedian. So
could be Maddie Matheson.
because I remember it was like I was like, that's a comedian there.
Yeah,
Like, I saw the preview.
Yeah, Maddie's gotten big.
But yeah, Bourdain is an interesting character.
Oh, absolutely.
So when did you decide military was going to be your way?
Yeah, because it seems like I was going to say that earlier. Because I know Norfolk, Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in
the
huge military presence.
and your brother went. I mean, like 8 years, like 8 years before you, 7 years, decent chunk.
Yeah.
So,
and my brother was in the Navy in Norfolk.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, no, it was one of those things like you grow up and you see movies like Saving Private Ryan and Blackhawk Down, and you hear about your great uncle who fought in Bastogne and was a paratrooper, and D-Day +3 or something, and just like
Bastogne was tough.
Yeah, fought in that battle too, and had to hide out in like some town in Luxembourg, and you hear these stories. Like my grandfather like was in the Navy at that time and was like hunting submarines in the Atlantic, and he's just like, oh, like that's what I want to do, because I've been told that is like an admiral thing to do. It's like be in the military, and aviation was big in my family. As far as my grandfather worked on after he got out of the Navy, he worked on the Saturn V.
Oh wow,
in Huntsville.
That's awesome.
So that's where my dad's side lived, and where my dad grew up was Huntsville, Alabama, because he worked on Saturn V and all that. And so you just you hear these stories about how great pilots and engineers are, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that seems cool. Flying seems cool. Like,
pilots were really, I think, they were glazed a lot when we were growing up. Like Chuck Yeager, and like there was famous pilots.
Well, you see a pilot, and it's like, oh, he's a pilot.
Mm-hmm. Pappy Boyington, I remember being a part of my childhood, like hearing that, the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah,
you're hearing about all those stories. And
oh yeah, all of that. Top Gun.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Top Gun's a big
Top Gun
right up there.
Awesome. I remember watching that as a kid, because I was born in '90, so it actually came out before I was born. But you see it on TV or whatever. And no, it's just stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh, I wanted to serve my country. Like I really wanted to do that thing. And so I joined in 2009 and joined as a helicopter mechanic.
Okay.
So I was enlisted for the first 12, 13 years. I was enlisted.
Did you go a warrant officer to fly?
I
or
did
regular
eventually.
officer?
Yeah. So I was enlisted all the way up, made it to staff sergeant, 2 MOSs. And then I put in my flight packet. And
yeah, I always thought that was cool with the Army. You guys are the only ones that a warrant officer can fly.
Yeah.
You're anything not than just regular commission.
The Green to Gold program was amazing.
That too, yeah.
I'd seen a lot of people use that program and end up becoming officers from enlisted.
Yeah, we call it MECEP. You got to be like a NCO or something to do it. I think, yeah.
You could definitely tell the difference between the Green to Gold guys versus the guys that came out of West Point and the guys that came out of college.
Do you call them Mustangs? Officer or enlisted officer? That's what we call them in the Marine Corps.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if we had a name
call
for
them traitors.
Yeah.
I just call them sir.
We call them scary.
It's just funny though, because it's like I'm kind of the middle child. I picked the job that's kind of in between officers and enlisted. Sexually, I'm kind of in between. It's just like a going theme,
Yeah.
But no, I just felt like service was in my blood, and I wanted to serve my country. It was purely cliche, patriotic reasons.
Yeah. I hear you.
I had a decent career. Like I had everything going. Like it's not like I needed it. I just really wanted to do it.
So you did it. So you had a job. Does that mean like there's a little bit of time after high school before you went in?
Yeah, because I graduated at 17 and then homeschool. And then I started doing like tech support and stuff.
It's easy to graduate with honors when your parents are the ones giving you the grades.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes prom is awkward, but
hey mom, I did the dishes. Can I get an A on my science homework?
Yeah. No, so like, I had a couple years that I did like tech support. I originally thought I would do video game design. I started going to college for that while doing tech support. And then I realized at the same time I thought like, oh, a good person is supposed to good man's supposed to get married and then have children. So I got married very young to my first wife and realized that being a game designer is kind of like a comedian or an artist. Like you have to shop around work and it's very difficult, not like super stable for a while until you get to the major like publishers. So I was like, okay, let me just do this tech support thing. And I just kind of climbed that ladder. And meantime, I joined the Guard because I wanted to serve and wanted to be a pilot. Deployed to Iraq right after AIT as a door gunner. So in aviation units, if you're a mechanic, you can double as a door gunner as well. Like they try to like take extra people in the helicopter to divide up the workload. So got to do that. Earned the air medal there while flying over desert sand, and then when I came back, I was single. So no kids from that marriage.
That happens.
That happens.
No kids from that marriage. I was single. I turned 21 in Iraq, so like I literally came back to like, all right, let me go out and drink and party and like fuck 100 bitches and just it was wild. I had really I spiraled the first few years after, and then I met my who became my second wife, and and then I calmed down, and she had a child, and so I moved in or she moved in, and I became a step parent. And so when I say my daughter, that's who I'm claiming. She was 5 at the time, and the child, not the wife. Yeah, she was 5 at the time, and I raised her, and now she's 19, and we still talk all the time and everything. And she moved out last summer, which is when I decided to start coming here and moving here, because she turned 18 last summer. But
empty nest.
Yeah, empty nester. Like 2 wives, 2 genders, 2 religions. Like I've done it all. I'm 36. Done it all.
Where's the second wife now?
She is still in Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually just went and saw Big J Okerson. I convinced her to go. She loves comedy, but she didn't know who he was. I was like, no, you need to go. Apparently, he's closing his sets with a bit about me.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to go see it and tell me what he's saying. So she went, and she was like, oh my God, it was so funny. He was so, it was at the Funny Bone, Richmond Funny Bone. She's like, he was so funny. And he closed and he talked about you. And I was like, I know who that is. And like, she was like freaking out, but
that's cool.
But she's great. She's like, God, she's my number one. Like, she's my rock. We're still very close. Like, we're like platonic partners is what I call it, because she's very straight. So when I transitioned, it just like romantically didn't work for her anymore. Still would have worked for me, but I still try to put it in every now and then, you know. But she's like, no. And I'm like, well, I guess not much has changed.
Hey, listen, we all got a baby mama. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody mad at you for that. You know?
Yeah.
You're amongst friends here.
Yeah, right. I mean, I actually don't, biologically, I don't have any children. But yeah, I claim my stepdaughter's mine. So.
I mean, you raised her.
Yeah.
It definitely helped raise her.
We have a soft spot for step parents on this show for
sure.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parent by choice.
A good step parent.
A good step parent like hits home. That's one of those things whenever I'm watching a movie, you know, you just have those random triggers that will like, it's like just, oh, not today.
Yeah.
It's a step parent or something like that. I hear something about it. It gets me like every single time.
Also, the best phrase for step parenting makes me want to throw up. And it's the one where they're like, I'm not the parent. I'm just the parent that stepped up. I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instant family, just add husband.
Yeah. It's like, no, you just did the thing that you probably should do if you marry somebody with a kid.
Mm.
Exactly.
It's like
you just loved everything that came with the person.
Because I mean, I was in those situations as a kid where the dude that was with my mom did not give a shit about us. I was in a bunch of those situations. So the ones where they actually did give a fuck were, I mean, absolutely amazing. They're fostering things inside of you, right? They're interested in your interests. They're doing things with you.
That phrase could be taken so,
I was gonna say,
so weird, dude.
I mean,
I was like,
that's kind of sad.
You know, the good ones, they come over, they put stuff inside you. And
sounds like diddling.
Yeah.
A lot of baby oil. A lot of baby oil.
Yeah, it's like she was actually going to live with me in the house because romantically it wasn't working. My ex started dating. I started dating. It was too weird for me to see her getting ready for dates. So
yeah, I can't imagine.
We started living separately in the same town, and that was fine. And my daughter was actually going to stay with me while she went to college because I have the post 9/11 GI Bill and I didn't use it. So
Nice.
I gave it to her.
Oh, cool.
And she went for like 3 weeks and was like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm like, that's fine. I was like, don't waste it. Like, if you're going to use it, but I don't want you to feel obligated. But the goal was that she was going to save, because you get BH with the post 9/11. She was going to save that money for herself while she lived with me in the 4-bedroom house we had. And then she was like, actually, I kind of want to move in with some friends and do my own thing. And I was like, great. I'm proud of you. Like, awesome. So last minute, she moved out last summer, and I was like sitting in a 4-bedroom house by myself that had doubled in value since I bought it. And I was like, I think I might try this Austin comedy thing and go all in. So I put it on the market in the winter, and I sold it in 27 days. for more than asking price, which is insane.
Wow.
And moved here and quit my job, and I'm just living on the equity until I can make this whole comedy thing work out.
That's awesome.
I've been doing
I got a roommate like who's also an empty nester. She's in her 50s, and we're just like Laverne and Shirley like living together. Kimberly Kester, shout out to Kimberly Kester. She's a comedian. Yeah. She's been on Kill Tony a couple times. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing this for almost 14 years. And if it wasn't for me being 100% disabled through the VA, I wouldn't have made it as far as I have. Yeah. You know, it's like it's offered me a lot of time.
When you have a runway, like God,
it's offered me a lot of time to be able to write.
I mean, shit, me too. I mean, even just my time in the military using GI Bill and like VA disability, that's like opened up so much opportunity. If it wasn't for that, there's no way in hell I would have been able to commit this much time to this.
I got no disability. They literally are saying they're kicking me out for a medical condition that's not compatible with service, while also saying it doesn't get you disability though.
Yeah.
Because I can still fly civilian. The military won't let me fly, but I could fly an airliner if I wanted. If I went and got my ATP certification. Like I have a commercial license. I don't have airliner license, but.
Have you thought about doing like helicopter tours and stuff like that? Like,
thought about it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have enough hours. I wasn't a pilot long enough to just walk into the job. Okay. I'd have to build hours for that. Unfortunately. Yeah. But then it's like, I was making a lot of money in tech. And it's like, okay, like, do I want to basically start a whole new career making way less to do that? Or do I want to try to, because of the crash rumor and everything that happened around me, I kind of got thrust into the spotlight, and I was like, well, maybe I want to use my story that I'm now in like the public space for good.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what was the crash rumor?
Oh yeah. You don't know this. Oh God, this is great. You remember the airliner that crashed with the Blackhawk in DC?
Yeah.
I was accused of causing it for the first 48 hours.
How?
I lived 100 miles away, and I just happened to be a Blackhawk pilot, and someone on the internet was like, oh, I bet this was intentional, and I bet it was this trans person who found out this week they're about to get kicked out of the military by the new president. And this was January of 2025. And I literally woke up to my friends texting me and calling me, asking if I was okay and if I knew what was being said about me online. And I Googled myself, and I saw that I had died, and I had killed 67 people in the process. And then it was also another example of a trans terrorist attack. And I was number 2 on Twitter. I didn't even have a Twitter account. I was trending number 2 on Twitter that weekend. And I was on CNN the next day.
Holy
telling
shit.
the story.
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And this was just some random who were able to track down where it originally.
We haven't been able to track it down to where like the who started the rumor exactly. I have to be careful what I say because it is a federal defamation case right now that I'm suing someone in federal court for this.
Sure.
But basically how the story goes is rumors started circulating, and then someone tied the rumor of it being a DEI pilot, maybe a trans pilot, maybe this trans pilot. They tied that to the idea that, not the idea, they tied that to pictures of me. And so that's where it really spiraled out of control, is once someone started posting like pictures of me with the rumor, and it started circulating and retweeting. I mean, it was flowing like, at one point I saw Ann Vandersteel had retweeted it, questioning it, and Coulter, I think some people from InfoWars, of course, were loving it. Like it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And I'm like looking at this like first thing in the morning, like trying to make coffee. You know, it's a hell of a way to wake up. And
where were you living at the time? Were you here
in
yet?
Richmond. No,
okay,
this is before comedy. This is before anything. This was literally the same week I found out, oh shit, my military career is ending. Probably going to end.
Oh
this was January 2025.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then I saw pictures of me who the last thing I wanted is a newly transitioned person still serving in the military. Because under Biden, it was allowed to transition, which is why I did it. A lot of people seem to think I like went against policy. No, I did what they said I could do. And so I'm trying to like lay low. Like I don't want any like political beef against me. I don't want to like, I didn't say anything negative about the president. And then like, lo and behold, there I am all over the news as a dead trans pilot who caused a crash in DC where people died. People that like, I knew people who worked on that aircraft that crashed, like that Blackhawk, like, cause I know people in that unit. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, you're tying this to some political thing, like how disgraceful to the actual victims and my brothers and sisters, but also like, holy shit. Like I started receiving, because I got a call from the Daily Mail to my cell phone, which I've never talked to them before. They're like, hey, are you alive? Like, do you know what's being said about you? And then literally my phone just like filled up with all kinds of like messages from different people. I only had a Facebook at the time that was like heavily locked down. So like my message request was like full of like crazy people and reporters asking. I called my PAO and I was like, hey, they're like, yeah, we were just about to call you. Like people have been calling us asking about you. And I'm just like, I want to put out a video. I want to put out a statement. What do I say? And they're like, well, here's the verbiage you can say. So I said that at the end of the message, but basically I started the message like, here's my proof of life video. I'm alive. I had nothing to do with the crash. It's insulting to the victims. And here's a statement from my public affairs officer. And I read that. And once everyone that was tracking the story saw that, a lot of those people that were very excited about that story were like very anti-trans, very crazy right-wing conspiracy. So once they saw a video of me talking, now I became a trans pilot that is alive and does exist. And so then I got a wave of hate from that and death threats. Like my neighbor came over and like knocked on our door and like asking if we were okay. Like, cause they saw me on the news and I was just like, holy shit, we gotta like, I went into like soldier mode. I was like, we gotta pack bags. We gotta like fucking go.
Yeah.
So we went to like 3 different places. Like we all separated. We all went into hiding. Like I loaded my guns. Like, cause I was like, all it takes is some nut to see this shit and want to like hurt me or someone who knows me. And I was so scared for my family, but also from like myself. I was like, oh shit, like this is serious. And the next morning I got a call and I got on CNN live and talked about it and said, hey, look, like, yeah, this is crazy. I'm alive.
Yeah, wasn't me.
Yeah.
I'm here.
This is one of the most interesting stories.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's like a whole Wikipedia about me.
You were basically like the black kid in the white neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like something bad happened. Well, it was the trans person did it.
Well, that's because Elon Musk bought Twitter. He loosened the controls, and leading up to what happened to me, every time there was a shooting or a mass problem, it was very common on that platform to blame trans people, true or not. It was just the first thing that they did was they'd find a picture of someone who looked kind of tranny-like, and they would say it must be this crazy, unstable trans person because Elon Musk loves to push that trans people are unstable on hormones. And
you seem very stable to me.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm still qualified to fly, like medically, so I'd hope so.
Hopefully,
I have a shit ton of guns, so I hope so.
Hopefully, Elon sees this and throws you on a SpaceX flight. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's wild because like it kept escalating each time the stories got bigger. Even if it wasn't a trans person responsible, they still blamed someone and kind of doxed them in the process. So then my thing happened, and because it was the biggest aviation disaster, it went so far. It became such a huge story because of the escalation and how big that crash was in the news, that I was like, the next logical like step would be to like target someone like me that hard. And they just would hope that it was right. And if not, they would just delete the post. That's what they'd been doing.
Yeah.
And this time they fucked with the wrong tranny. I found a law firm that like now we're suing. So it's like, yeah, like I kind of spiraled in this whole, like, I don't want to be remembered for something I didn't do. Like searching for like, how can I make something good out of this? And, I decided to start telling my story through comedy to try to build bridges and reach the people that would believe stories like that about me. And I targeted Austin, and I said, I'm going to go to Austin. I'm going to infiltrate the Rogan sphere, and I'm going to befriend people, and I'm going to do it admirably. But I'm basically going to stand on their stages and tell my story to their audience.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I don't
ballsy.
know, man.
Yeah.
I got cold chills.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's wild.
That's cool as shit. You know?
Thank you. I called it Operation Conservative PSYOP.
That's sick.
I literally talked about it before I did it. Like this was like May. I just recorded my segment on The Daily Show as a panelist, and I was like talking to Jordan Klepper, and I was like, I think I might want to try to write some jokes about my story. And he's like, do it. Like, very encouraging. So I wrote 5 minutes and did 3 weeks of open mics in Richmond, and flew here for the weekend, signed up for Kill Tony, and got on.
That's awesome.
And 14 minutes on stage telling the story about trans-military, about the crash, that hormones don't make you inherently unstable.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, you know, what
Wild ride.
What a beacon of truth and justice to hear that in Tony Hinchcliffe, let me tell you.
Well, to hear him be like, you're doing great things for the trans community by coming on here, like to basically get his endorsement, knowing
That is sick.
that I did it the right way.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to browbeat. I came here to lead by example.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'll just show you what a trans person can be. And
That's all you can
I'm
do.
a huge fan of this whole community. I'm a huge fan of Rogan and Tony and all these people. Like, I grew up listening to them, like on Pandora, and listening to their podcast for over a decade. And so it's like, I don't know, that mixed with like the gallows humor of the barracks, I'm like, I feel like these are my people in a weird way.
Yeah.
And at the same time, some of them, the more, right-leaning ones, it's like talking to my family.
Yeah.
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 It's not that
You know?
different.
If I can win them over, maybe I can win my parents over.
Have you yet?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How?
Yeah. I mean, they talk to me. They say they love me. I like to tell people that if you put it in this perspective, your child is doing something that you think is not good for them, and it's going to lead to pain and hurt, and you want what's best for them, and you think that they're not doing that. That's how they view this.
But they don't see as you doing this as a way to avoid that, avoid the pain, avoid the.
They don't see it as a way that could actually help. They think this is going to lead to further whatever. Like, I've thrown away, I guess not intentionally, but a career because I'm trans. I've lost, being able to fly in the military. And then also, like my wife, they see that, even though they don't realize that our relationship is very strong still.
Yeah.
And still very close. Like, I'm literally going to fly out tomorrow and go see her in Salt Lake City. So she's doing a work conference. I'm like, you got a hotel? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to come and crash with you and just hang out at Salt Lake and do the open mic at Wise Guys while I'm there. And we're very close. We hang out all the time. So it's like,
Wise Guys is fun.
yeah, I've never been. So I'm excited. I know Jason Ellis lives there now in Utah. So
Which is an interesting
maybe
place
he
for
can
him
get
to
me on.
live.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's what it's like with my parents. It's like they tell me they love me, they'll call me and talk to me, but my brother has young children that they're kind of replicating the homeschool model, the religious model, and so they're always around the grandchildren. And I think it's more of a, we don't know how to tell them what you are now, an awkwardness, which I find most kids are actually way more easy of just being like, okay, whatever, I don't give a shit.
I think you just tell them.
It's like, can we watch a movie? Can we, like, they don't care about
Yeah.
You just tell
all
them.
of this,
I've talked to my kids
Yeah.
endlessly about trans people and about, just LGBT issues and
You
stuff
just
like
tell
that.
them.
And
Yeah.
just tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the parents not wanting to have that conversation, I would assume. And then also like having that fear of like, oh, my kid's going to like say something. And so they just,
Or they think I'm going to say something that corrupts them, maybe. I don't know.
Well, people
I think it's a
don't-
mix of that, and then my parents just, especially my dad, being just kind of like generally uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, okay. I like, the door's always open. I give them time. Like, I offer them, like, I can come visit if you want, or you can come visit. Like,
Have you sat in the
it's
same
fine.
room since you've transitioned?
My dad, we met, I was passing through Tennessee one time. We met there, and because he happened to be there at the time, and like had breakfast, and the conversation was like as if nothing had changed.
Yeah.
And I think that hopefully was reassuring to him that the presentation is different, but it's kind of the same.
Content of the character didn't change.
Yeah, I didn't like transition to get a new identity. I transitioned so I could save myself.
Yeah.
I liked most of who I am, and I credit them for raising me to be all these things that people see in me that they say that they like. Like, I'm like, yeah, my parents were great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They raised me to be a good person. Like they just thought I'd be a man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
Yeah.
Joe, I absolutely love your outlook.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think you have some amazing perspective. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think perspective is the mother to all knowledge and wisdom. And I think you have incredible perspective. Just like you've had such an interesting road. And
Yeah. I've been doing stand up a year. Like,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
and
here.
you're already featuring for Ellis. That's great. I mean, I didn't feature my first club till I was 4 or 5 years in.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a lot of open mics, a lot of just, shitty Bobby Johnson, you get $5 for every ticket you sell kind of shows. And
I still do those too. Like, like I'm not one to say no, and I definitely want to pay my dues.
there's a lot.
I just came in with a shit ton of material that was so pre-soaked in humor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the
it's-
military gallows humor of like how can we laugh about this in the barracks, and just I know I'm new and I know I'm green. It's gonna get better, but it's like it kind of came in loaded with shit that is funny.
Well, I'm not saying this in a way to, degrade anything.
Yeah, no.
I'm saying in a way that I'm impressed. It's
Well,
like
thank
you're already
you.
featuring a year in, and you do have this kind of built-in narrative, and you have this built-in perspective.
I have a mission for it.
Absolutely, and for
Yeah.
the life you've lived.
Yeah.
And I always believe on stage, if you're going to talk about something, you should be the subject matter expert of that. And I know that's a military thing, right?
Oh,
Subject
yeah.
matter expert, right?
Yeah.
And I truly believe that if you're going to, speak on something, you should speak with expertise.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be doing edge for the sake of doing edge.
Yeah.
Don't talk about trans issues if you haven't lived trans issues. Don't talk about, getting diddled by an uncle just to have that shock joke when you weren't really diddled by an uncle. Because I guarantee you, there's 3 or 4 people sitting in that room that were touched by a family member.
Right.
And they were molested, and they're going to see right fucking through you.
Yeah.
And so if you're not vulnerable, you're not honest, you're not presenting these things in a real way, there's no credibility.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that you have, and one thing that I'm an admiration of, is credibility.
Oh, well,
And I
thank
think
you.
that's, it's so important to comedy, to be credible.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to public speaking. It goes down to Aristotle, Plato's ethos and logos. Or was that Socrates? I can't remember.
I think it was Plato.
No, it was Plato?
Yeah. I just took a philosophy class, so.
Nice.
Plato.
You into the
Plato?
Stoics?
Uh-huh.
You all into the Stoics?
Yeah, big
No.
time.
I
You
hated
know
it.
Ryan Holiday, like big Stoic guy, right?
Nuh-uh. I
Yeah,
didn't
the
know
Daily Stoic.
Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know he's a big.
That's him. That's the author. He's got a bookstore in Bastrop. I got to be on his podcast, and he records it there at his bookstore.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday, the Daily Stoic. If you all like Stoicism, he's the guy, and
Yeah.
he's really awesome.
We should have him on.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
We're always looking for like new guests that have interesting, different
Yeah.
perspectives.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a big get for sure if you could get him on.
Yeah. And if you're
he's
in
cool.
Austin and you know somebody,
Yeah.
hit us up. They might be able to come on the show.
Yeah.
Well-
But that's where I learned for like the last decade reading his books, like The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, like all these books that are rooted in Stoicism in the military and stuff. And I'm just applying that to this now. So I appreciate you acknowledging kind of what I'm doing because it is different, I think.
Yeah, it is different.
Yeah.
But different doesn't mean wrong.
And good on you too for like deciding on Austin too. Cause I mean, there's a lot of ways whenever you decide to do this, like you could go on a lot of different places where, I mean, like here you have to, like you're saying, you want to like talk to people, not like entirely like, you just want to give your perspective. And it could be in a place like Austin where like, it could be a little bit hostile of a place, but you decided to do that because that's where, change and just that perspective really carries.
Yeah.
You go to LA, it's like preach,
Right. And I was like covered in New York Times and stuff. So it's like, it's cool to get that coverage, but it also felt like I was preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to find the people that I grew up with. That's who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And so I found some here.
Hell yeah.
That's
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we always wrap this up really simply. And it's just if you have one piece of parenting advice to give to anybody out there raising a kid right now, what would you tell them?
Based on your childhood.
And based on
my
your
childhood?
perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Well, I mean, we kind of said it earlier, like your kids will tell you who you are.
Mm.
Listen to them.
I love that.
They're trying to let you know something. Maybe I don't want to talk about that.
Nothing makes me want anybody to talk about something more.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. It's not my story to tell, but I'm very close to it. So I'll just say this. If you notice your child that has a major shift in attitude, and it's maybe attitude you don't like, and you think discipline and reprimand is the way, take a beat and realize that there could be more going on there. There could be an abusive family member. There could be someone diddling someone in the closet, and the behavior change is a reflection of that. And maybe they won't tell you that someone's doing that to them, but know that a sharp change is never without reason. It's not just because you have a bad kid all of a sudden, and be open to them. And there's so much value in what I call or maybe someone else talks about this. You know, like the time when you're traveling somewhere and you're just sitting in the car with your kid and you're not having to look at each other. There's something powerful in that, where a kid will open up to you because they don't have the pressure of you looking at them. You're just driving. You're just talking about whatever. Like, it's basically like junk time.
Almost like a confessional.
But it's the best. Those are the moments that, you'll cherish, is when your kid felt comfortable talking to you. And so
I do cherish that. Yeah.
When they open up to you, listen, try not to judge right away. Listen to them.
Yeah.
Hear them all the way out, and then come back later with whatever you want to try to teach them.
I actually had this exact same thing happen recently. My daughter on TikTok put on there, I forget what she put. You're not going to crack was one of the things she said. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to understand, you're presenting a challenge in that moment that a lot of people are going to want to accomplish or achieve. They're not going to crack you, right? But I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that see that and be like, I probably can. Mm-hmm. And so you're inviting something that you might not be ready for. And she took that as, I'm saying that she has, lackluster ethics and her morals are askew, and that she's trying to be more promiscuous than she is, and those kind of things. So I really had to take the time to listen to what she was saying, where she was like, no, I just want everybody to know that's not what I'm doing. And I'm like, and I just want you to know that everyone's going to see that as a challenge. And we got there. And it took us a minute. But eventually we were able to sit down and we talked about it, and she completely understood. And I just want to let you know, just because you put something out there for it to be meant a certain way doesn't mean that someone's not going to take it as something else.
Sure.
You got to understand everyone's perspective is different, and not everyone's going to see things the way you see them. So when you put them out, just be mindful, and be willing to take it down. If something makes, if some of the comments come back, if some of the stuff comes back that makes you uncomfortable, don't marry yourself to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's so liberating, is like the words, I was wrong about that, or I've changed my mind about that.
Yeah.
It's freedom in that, because now you don't have to be stuck with an idea that no longer suits you.
Yeah. One of the most powerful things that I think I've ever said to my kids is, it's not your fault.
Right.
And I mean, I remember I was in a certain relationship a while ago, and I had smoked a cigarette in the parking lot. I was still smoking at the time of her work, and her boss got really upset about it. So she ended up, getting mad at me, yelling at me about it. And then I just apologized. I'm like, hey, there's nothing I didn't know. I didn't have any knowledge. That wasn't okay. And she goes, it's not your fault. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's the first time she had said that through our entire relationship. A lot of things. First time she had looked at me and said, it's not your fault. And I started crying. I cried for 20 minutes. Couldn't stop crying.
Because you felt like, this is one more thing that is on me.
Yeah, but I honestly, I felt like this is the first thing you've ever taken off of me.
Right. What a relief.
What a relief. And if you could keep doing this, maybe we'll make it.
It's not your fault, and you're actually right about that. That'd be two great phrases from a girlfriend, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't think it's any different for children.
Yeah.
I think that, hey, you're right about that, and this is not your fault.
Oh, that's very powerful. Yeah. You don't have to know everything for your child. You can admit you don't know something, and that's very powerful, because then that teaches the child that you're human.
Mm-hmm. And you're saving them from that moment. I'm saving my children from that moment that I had.
Yeah.
Where I'm in the car, I'm crying, I'm emotional about it. I'm making sure they never have to feel that. And that's what I think we should do as parents.
Just do it a little bit better than what
The-
your parents did. Not to fault what your parents did, but it's like if I can just take that and just optimize it a little bit more.
Well, Joe, I'm telling you, if I was the man that Tammy raised, I would be in prison. If it wasn't for me reparenting myself, going
See,
through
you're
therapy,
doing it better. You're doing it better.
we got to try, right?
Yeah.
Got to try. Well, this has been an absolutely awesome episode.
It's been a hell of one. I never lie to you guys. Every time I'm like, I know it's going to be a great episode.
This has been one of my favorite episodes so far. So thank you so much for coming on. If you want to let them know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. You can find me at Jo Ellis Really. That's also my website, joellisreally.com. Look for my feature documentary coming out early next year that'll cover my whole pivot to comedy and effort to save the world vanity project. And but seriously, there's a documentary coming out called Fighting Forward. I'm one of the 3 protagonists in it, and it's gonna be great. Also, a book coming out next year. Otherwise, I'll be on tour with Jason Ellis and hopefully some others. So if you know anyone else that needs a feature or opener, or I'll do 5 minutes, I'll fly across the country for it. Just want stage time.
I love that.
Hell yeah.
I'll definitely get you on some of my stuff in the future.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing episode.
Yeah.
Tammy's kids, the family. Thank you for tuning in, coming in, seeing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And without you doing what you do, liking and subscribing, sharing and commenting, we can't do what we do, which is trying to make this the best damn podcast in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in to every episode and this one, and we'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Did your mama lie? Did your daddy make you cry? Hey, it's Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. Tammy's boy. Hey, it's Tammy's boy.
Subscribers on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
Look
That's
at
awesome.
that.
It's almost like posting stand-up helps.
Oh,
Crazy.
listen, we know some of you guys have a recent. Welcome. Good to see you guys. And I mean, hopefully you're seeing this. I mean, you're on. But still, we know at some point, it might be 5 years down the line, their Holocaust might have like down, but you still exist. No matter what, wherever you're watching.